During President Biden's first 100 days, it's pretty clear the heart of the GOP is in the state houses. Here's what's happened in these first 100 days. Republican-controlled legislatures in 8 states so far have passed laws that are restricting voter access, including tighter limits on absentee ballots in some places. At the same time, similar bills have been introduced in 39 other states. We don't know the results of those yet. Then there's been some crackdown on protesters. 5 states already have passed bills that limit the rights of protesters. Florida, for instance, actually passed a law that would grant legal immunity to somebody who drove through protesters blocking a road. By the way, 27 other states have already had bills introduced that would also crack down on protests. We don't know those results yet. Next up, there's been a lot more looser gun laws. 19 states so far this year have passed new laws that loosen gun restrictions, including Tennessee, which now will allow people to carry handguns without seeking a permit. In fact, so far, every state in the country has had bills introduced that would do one thing on the gun issue: loosen restrictions. And then finally, 7 states have passed laws that would prevent transgender youth from participating in student athletics. And we know that similar bills have been introduced in another 26 states. We don't know where that's going. But Lonnie Chen, you know, when you look at we've been looking at the first 100 days of Joe Biden. This is the first 100 days of the Republican Party. What are you learning from it? Because if the states are the laboratories for democracy, what does this say about the future of the GOP?
Well, look, I think cultural politics have always been part of the Republican Party, but just as you've got those examples, you've got a number of Republican governors who aren't focused on these sorts of things. You know, you think about Larry Hogan and Charlie Baker and Mike DeWine and Phil Scott, a series of governors who are focused on governing and really the longer run vision of what the Republican Party needs to do to be successful in urban areas and suburbs and places like California, where I live. Because look, you know, a lot of the Republican Party now, the dialogue does seem to be around what the kids call owning the libs. But in the long run, I think that's probably not what's going to make the Republican Party successful. And I think the examples set out by people like Baker and Hogan and others, those are going to be the kinds of things that will make the Republican Party a successful governing coalition nationally again. And that's really what I look for.
Well, you sound, I think, a bit, some might say, overly optimistic. Claire McCaskill, you saw this transformation in the GOP, frankly, arguably a decade earlier in Missouri. Where's this headed? Where do you think this is going in other states?
I have to believe it's not good for the Republican Party because they have become simply the party of grievance. It is all about culture wars. It's not about the budget. It's about the border. It's about playing to people's fears and making that the centerpiece of who they are as a party. And I got to tell you, I think local journalism and the demise of it has played a role in this, Chuck. It is very difficult to get a lot of good information about some of the nutballs that are in state legislatures right now because there are so few local journalists left. That is another problem we're going to have to tackle if we want to get back to some kind of normalcy in these state capitals.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.